Okay, I'm working on the book Residential Design using Autodesk Revit, and if you'll notice the picture on the cover, they've got a step, kind of an exterior stoop from the front door down to the sidewalk, and they don't actually tell you how to do that in the book. Now, if you look at the one in the book, it's very nice looking. It's concrete, and it's built kind of weird. It's got this wood railing kind of stuck on the sides of the concrete. I'm going to try a different version, maybe a more modern looking one without the railing. And in order to do that, I'm going to do something called model in place, which I don't think we've learned yet. So let's go ahead and see how this goes. So I'm going to go to component. I'm in the 3D view. I'm going to go, you can see I've got my site already modeled. I went ahead and added the room name as model text, or I should say the house number as model text. And now I'm going to go in and do a component model in place. And we know what it's going to be. It's a stair. And let's just call it exterior stoop. Okay, so now we're in 3D. We got to kind of let it know what our plane we're going to be working on. So I'm going to actually work on the top of the foundation level. So let's go ahead and set that. So that's called foundation. And then what I'm going to do is we've got to actually create the form, and I'm going to do an extrusion, and I'm going to do a little bit different where I don't have a railing, but it's going to be kind of a pyramid wraparound concrete step. So let's go ahead and do this extrusion. My extrusion is going to start at the first one's going to be 4 inches above the ground here. And it's going to end 4 inches above that level. And since my ground sloping away, I'm going to pick minus 6 inches just so it goes below my site level. And I know it's going to be concrete cast in place, so let's just go ahead and do that. And let's go ahead and start drawing it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the upper landing coming out from the house. I'm going to have the lower the next step kind of extending out. So I'm going to just pick a point out here and call it midpoint. And I'm going to come out 6 feet. Now maybe I should do this with the rectangle tool. So I'm going to come out 6 feet. I'm going to kind of eyeball this here just to save time. And then I'm going to hit finish edit mode. Let's see what happens. Okay. So you can see that I'm a little bit off. If I looked at it dead nuts on from the front, I'm a little bit off on my dimensions here. Now you'll notice when I click off of it and I don't select it, it goes back to the material. Let's go look at this straight on here. Oops, I want it at an angle kinda. Come on, Pete. Here we go. And let's zoom in here. So if I click on this thing, if I put eyeball this a little bit closer here, I think I need to bring it back in on this corner here. So I'm going to edit extrusion, and I'm just going to take this line and I'm going to move it back. I could do this with dimensions if I was really, let's look at it from that way. Let's just make this 11 to keep our numbers straight. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK. Now what I don't want to do is hit finish model because I'm going to do other layers on top of this thing here. So now let's go in and we're going to create another extrusion. This one's going to come up 6 inches higher for our next step, and it's going to start 6 inches back. So I'm going to go back to the site plan view. It'll probably be easier to figure it out there. So let's go back to our Create tab. Let's do our extrusion. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep my start there, but my extrusion is going to end at 10 inches. Oops. So this is going to be the next step up. And what I'm going to do is trace over the other one and offset it in a foot because I want my step to come in a foot. So I'm going to type in 1 foot there. And I'm going to do a rectangle. And maybe I need to do an offset of -1 so it comes in smaller. Let's try that. Now I don't want this backside to be stepped in a foot, so I'm going to go ahead and modify that one. So let's grab that and let's just move that one back till we hit the house. There we go. And let's hit OK on that one. Let's look at it in 3D. Let's look at it in real 3D. Okay. So when I look at this, you can see that I have my elevation set wrong. So no worries, we're just going to adjust these here. So we'll hit Edit Extrusion. Oops. I'm going to go back and hit Cancel Edit Mode. And I'm just going to stretch this down to there. So that one's at 6 3/4. And this one should then be at, oops, I'm going to undo that. So if I edit this one here, if I'm at 6 3/4 at the bottom, if I take the top down, that should be at 6 inches high. So I could just go in here and type in the depth at 6. And then hit enter. Okay. So now if you look at it in 3D here, oops. Let's go back to the corner. This isn't my finest hour on moving around the model here. Okay. So now I hit there again. Now I've got my next step in, so you can see the direction I'm going. I'm going to do one more step here, and then we'll be good to go. Now apparently when I draw on top of that, it just goes in and draws on top of the other one. It's smart enough to know that that's the base that I'm drawing on. So let's try it that way again. So now I'm going to go back to Create again. I'm going to go to Extrusion. And maybe I can set work plane. Let's just go ahead and do what I was doing before. I'm just going to go through and do this, and then I'm going to, so I've got my offset as -1 feet again. And I'm going to draw my square. I'm going to adjust the height later, the way I did it the last time. That was easy enough. I'm going to grab the line and move it back. Maybe a little back more. Let's get in there so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. And let's look at it in 3D. I'm sure the heights are off. Yeah. But let's just go ahead and fix that. So I'm going to bring this down 6 inches. So it says depth 1'4". Let me see if I can just change it to 6 inches here and if it actually changes. 0 space 6, enter. Yeah, okay. Looks pretty good to me. Let's look at it, kind of click out of here so I can see the color. So I'm going to use my shift key and my mouse wheel to kind of look around at it. So it's better than nothing. I kind of like it. You know, like you could put flower pots and stuff on there. Now, I don't know, do we really need a railing when we're only going down 1.5 feet? Probably not. So the one in the book is cool. This is just showing you how you can, in fact, model things in place. No, this is optional. You're welcome to try a different one on your own, or you're welcome to ignore this entirely. So I think that's long enough for one video. Thanks. Sorry, I said goodbye too soon. There's one very important step. We're still inside this model, right? I've made my 3 extrusions, but now I need to finish this model, so I got to click this button that says Finish Model. And there we are. So that's a way to make a happy little pyramid sort of step. I think it looks a lot better than having this 1.5 foot step off onto the sidewalk. So I think my rendering is going to look better.